Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Respecting the Beer. My name is Gary Arndt. With me again are the usual suspects. We got the historian of hops and a very simple man, Mr. Joel Hermansen.
Thank you, Gary. I'm
Straight
glad
down
to
the
be
middle.
here. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate that.
You are the Earl Campbell of life. For those of you who don't understand the reference, Earl Campbell was a fullback, and he just ran over people and went in a straight line. Didn't
veer.
You can drive around.
Yep,
he just did it.
No meandering, no cutting.
547.
No jump
Grateful
cuts.
Dead, Big Lebowski. Thank you very much.
The Randy Johnson of baseball.
Fastball every
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah.
Okay. I said this is actually a compliment. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that.
Well, it was never intended to be an insult.
It could have gone that way, though.
It could have. Chuckling in the background are the good doctors. We have a man who's becoming intimately familiar with kegs and tanks. Mr. Bobby McFleshman.
Yeah, the term kegs we're allocating to a new employee soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
And also with us, sorry to say, been downgraded from professor to student. Don't know if that affects your salary or anything, but
I know.
the good doctor, Allison McCoy, how are you doing?
Doing well. Having just taken a class on general relativity over at Lawrence. It's very fun. I recommend it to all.
Just drop that right here.
Yeah. I was telling Gary earlier, because I'm sure he's, studied and or done some sort of general relativity, something in his days.
Not explicitly.
What about implicitly?
Yeah, but every outside of a lot of like the first 3 semester physics stuff that I took, everything was orientated towards earth science. So
That's fair. Cool. I know something Gary doesn't know. It's
you know
rare
a lot of things I don't know. I have a very broad amount of knowledge. The depth on many particular topics, however, is lacking.
Good point.
But anyways, one topic that I do know a little something about, because I got my degree in it, is economics. And a lot of people may not realize it, but even for a small brewery like this one, you deal with a lot of foreign trade. The brewing system that you guys have in place was, if I recall correctly, a Czech system that was imported from South Korea. You're installing new tanks right now. Those come from overseas. A lot of the individual barrels and kegs you said, were coming in from Canada, plus ingredients from overseas. So what we want to talk about in this episode is how foreign trade affects brewing. Because a lot of people probably think, oh, well, you're a small brewery, you probably get all your ingredients from within the country, all the stuff comes in here. But that's really not the case, is it?
Nope, not at all. We like to purchase as much as we can locally, but in a competitive market, sometimes you want to go to the people who have the expertise or the skills, or in some cases, the latitude. So there's certain grains that'll only grow in certain regions. And we just purchased a brand new bouncing baby tank, and it finally arrived. We started the purchase in February, and then some federal action started to happen, and it kind of got stuck in transit. And it's been one of the biggest headaches I think Bobby and I have been handling behind the scenes of the brewery. But Bobby, tell us about this tank.
Well, I actually am still on an adrenaline high.
That's true, because you
Literally.
Yeah, you just pushed it up today. Like we put it into the building just today.
Yeah, and not like opening a present adrenaline, like opening a present that if you don't do it correctly, it might fall on you and kill you sort of way. Or it might stand up and everyone rejoices. And so it was the latter today, fortunately. That's why I'm here. What's this?
A pony.
It was a pony. Yeah. So no, it's equivalent to that. So standing a tank is always exciting. It's always touch and go. And we just stood it up. And it's the first tank we've stood up since a couple of years ago. We stood a really big tank up at the beer factory next door.
I guess we never stood the lager tanks up because they're supposed to
We
stay
laid
on
those
their
down.
side.
Yeah. Another story there.
And this is part, just so people are clear, you're expanding the production, the fermentation area to the upstairs of the brewery.
So we're doubling our total volume, and we are increasing a number of flavors by capacity by 125%. So
So have you done the math on this?
slightly, yeah. I've been staring at these books for a while. We've needed to. We've run out of so many of our flagships. So this is an effort to protect that, running out of those, and allowing us to continue on with R&D.
And we made this plan. Because of the hard work of our team, Milo Music, there's a large injection or large sale of beer. We take a lot of that money and we reinvest it into the company. And so last year we knew, okay, we want to invest it into this tank and this expansion. And so we started the process to do that. Well, the best tanks in the world are manufactured in China. And they know what they're doing. They can build to spec.
That's the key. With Chinese manufacturing, what I'm finding is that once they understand an industry and they understand the specs, they nail it every time. They're just so efficient and they're so process driven. And in the beginning, it wasn't true with the brewing industry. They didn't know what these tanks were meant for. Someone handed them on paper with some specs, and over time, they were able to improve on that.
And there are good tank manufacturers here in the States,
heck
but
yeah.
most of them get the base stuff from China.
Well, this is very true. A lot of manufacturers will import, and so they're really outsourcing that to China. And that's sort of a bigger theme, I think, in the world right now is who's doing the most manufacturing and why and how.
But anyway, so these tanks are built so to spec because our brewery and our building is very small. And so we want the tank to have very specific ports and hookups and hoses and that sort of thing. It has to be oriented just in the right way. And so it's not just you go to the store and or go to Amazon and click a button. So it takes a lot of process and discussion with the company to build this tank. And so we started that, back in
February?
October?
I mean, honestly, I started, longer, years ago.
Yeah. And so finally we pushed the button and we sent the first down payment in February. And then the uncertainty of the tariffs hit.
Right, but backing up a bit, to have a tank that you can make Pirates Cove, which is our German lager, Public House, which is our Nitro Irish Stout, 547, which we've mentioned once on this show, I think.
Just wait, remind me what 547 is again?
It's our double West Coast IPA with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of hops. So just taking those three extremes.
And lots and lots and lots of sales.
And that's true.
Good point.
Which is a motivating factor for this expansion. But building a tank that can do all three of those very, very, very different things was tricky. So we had to design. These are custom. These are not off the shelf. We didn't just go online and click go. This was a back and forth between us and their engineers. And I've been very pleased, both the process of designing and then building and then to see the end product. I'm really happy, and this is one of 8 that we're going to put into action, hopefully in the next 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby, I don't know if I can quick interject here. We just had a texted in question. Tom Bates just texted me and said, how does 547 always get brewed, but sometimes other beers like Public House don't?
Love it. Well, I've already mentioned the analogy on here, right? How
I don't know that you have.
Oh, think of a nightclub. And there's a line, and everyone in that line is a beer. And there's someone at the door, the gatekeeper. I guess I'm that in this analogy. Mm-hmm. And
let the hot girls in.
I guess I'm letting the hot girls in, or the one with all the money, which in this case, in effect, is.
Hold up! I'm just going to stop you now. No, so there are certain beers that we distribute that have higher priority than the tap room, because the tap room is a glorified account, really. So if you think of us as three.
Am I an accountant?
Maybe. But I think that it's that we have like contracts that we have to give out certain amounts of 547.
Well, I'm having to think both ways all the time. How do I supply the market? Because you don't want to see empty shelves at the grocery store. But the other part is you don't want to not have 547 on tap in our tap room.
True.
That is the component that people here, I think, don't see. Mm-hmm. Like, we talked previously about Oktoberfest. I didn't realize how much of that you made that was not sold here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 95% is not
And I
sold
think a
there.
lot of people don't see that half of the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's even more than half of the business.
Yeah.
It's
we could do a whole
60%,
show on
yeah.
just distribution.
And so I think that's why they just see what's on the menu. Is it there? Is it not? And they have no conception of what's happening behind the scenes.
There will be
Right.
times when I'll ask, hey, what'd you brew today? And he's like, oh, we brewed this and this is in the tank. Because it's a stair step. of whatever's brewed, and then as soon as it's going to occupy whatever's about to be taken out of the tank. And that's actually one of the things that this new tank is going to do. It's a release tank that we can put more.
No. This
into.
is a conical fermenter. It's a unitank, so
Well,
we can do
okay.
fermentation
Of a
and
smaller
release
bit.
and
Yeah.
so on. Yeah, it does it all.
But anyway, so I'll ask him, and he's like, yeah. So we had, say, what was the last one? Public House, and you're like, yeah, and I've already sold it all.
Oh yeah, this is a really amazing and rewarding time for us, but it's really stressful too because now we know the market is pulling, but if we're not providing ever, then move on to someone who can. So it's a delicate balance. So we know it's time to expand.
It's a good problem to have.
True.
But it's a problem.
It's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, because you can only say it's coming soon so many times before they move on. So we knew we had to address it. So it's exciting.
So we knew we needed to address this. We needed to expand, increase tank capacity. So we buy this tank. Well, in buying, we contract this tank. It's being built. The idea is half money goes down. They build it to spec, and then the other half comes when they put it on the boat to send it.
Yeah,
here.
so fortunately, Christoph. What's Christoph's last name?
Kark, yeah. Christoph Kark, a good friend of the brewery.
Yeah, he's another fan of 547 and some of our other hoppy beers and a lot of our beers. But he has connections in logistics, distribution, and he connected me with people who could get a tank from China to Appleton, Wisconsin. It's not trivial. It's something I recommend never to do on the side. It's something you need to do it as a
took
career.
you probably about 20 hours to figure out, maybe 40 hours of work just to figure out all the logistics.
But that's even with the
paperwork.
aid of the people I was connected with Christoph. So it's a very complicated world. There doesn't seem to be much out there that you can learn from.
And
except
then
by experience.
Sprinkle in the headache that is the constantly changing federal actions of the tariffs.
And those landed, yeah.
Yep, right in this process.
And I'll just say it out loud, it's a fentanyl tariff that's the most expensive piece of what we pay. This has been imposed on many, many countries, and if not all. And so that shows up as...
I didn't know you guys were making fentanyl in addition to beer.
Yeah, right. So
Good margins in that.
it was interesting for me to go line by line to see what we're paying tariffs on and for, and to see that one pop up as one of the biggest line items.
But then when you've built your whole yearly budget around any excess is going into this tank and then it doubles in price practically overnight. Oh my God, the loss of sleep, the tears, the screaming, the hatred, the anger. I'll stop there. It's been an absolute nightmare. And that's just with the tank. That doesn't actually hit the grain or the aluminum prices.
And the beers we make are internationally inspired, and so a lot of the terroir you can't replicate here. So we have to buy our grain if we want to continue to make.
For example, what grains do you have to import?
Well, the biggest one would be our German Pilsner, and
that's the base malt. So
yeah,
that's the
80 to
primary.
90% of all of our lagers, and our lagers are our biggest by volume beer that we do. So. Yeah, we're definitely at the mercy of, we're at the whims of whatever the market becomes there. As far as cans, it's aluminum. That's another one that's affected by the ripples of the market globally. And then kegs, like Gary mentioned at the beginning, we were buying from Canada and may do so again. But at this point, there's a sort of a contentious relationship that's making that a challenging exchange of money. But yeah, there's a lot of factors. There may be more that I'm not thinking of. And at the end of the day, it's hard to reverse this. What economists I hear talk about this seem to suggest that it's not just ride it out. It seems like we're stuck with some long-term price changes. And so it's absorbed, but then it's eventually passed on.
I
to
should
the
add,
cost
it's
of the
not
beer.
even what you are directly ordering overseas. Let's say you get malt from Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting stuff
Yeah.
from other places.
Right.
Equipment's one thing. Another thing, a lot of the equipment people use is not manufactured here. So you have to buy it from Europe or China or wherever.
And so everyone's experiencing there's the tariffs, there's inflation, there's the unrest of the economy. And so all of that comes to, we want to do everything we can to not increase the price of beer. It's already maxed out, I think, as much as we can, but it's also, we're in competition with so many other corporations who can subsidize. I mean, Bud Light costs what it does because they make so damn much of it. And we just can't compete with that volume. And so it's been one of the most challenging features of the last 12 months, I would say. And this is coming from someone who works in higher education as well.
Yeah, you see that.
Higher education's become so affordable over the years.
So affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So affordable. So, good return on investment.
They always say that prices go up like a rocket and down like a feather. Isn't that the
Yeah, that's a good
economics?
metaphor.
That's a really good.
metaphor that's used
That's
to describe
usually-
inflation?
Well, inflation never comes down.
Right.
But in certain industries like oil, where you're dealing with individual commodities that are subject to shocks, that can happen because oil is kind of a fungible asset. And so if something happens on the world stage where people are concerned about the oil supply, they'll bid up the price quickly. And then it may take time to go down. So, yeah. So overall, everything is more expensive than what it was 5 years ago.
Right.
Or
COVID has a
certainly,
major
what
effect.
was a candy bar when you were growing up? Everything's just more expensive. There will come a time you will charge $20 for a beer.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you. And it's not just you. Everyone's going to be charging that much.
Well, I'm imagining in the
that's-
span of 20 years, we've gone as an industry from $5 to basically $10.
Yeah.
That's in 20 years.
I'm reminded though, so was it Michael Lewis who told you so Michael Lewis was Bobby's beer professor at C. Davis. And he said, I'm teaching you how to brew beer.
Day one.
I'm
first
not teaching
spiel.
you how to run a brewery. And to those out there, like, oh, I've got a great recipe. Yay. I'm sure you do. However, this is the school of hard knocks of realizing, like, yeah, Bobby makes some of the best beer. His recipes, he's like this beer recipe whisperer.
Can I confess something?
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
I have taken a little bit of a perverse joy in watching you two as academics learn this stuff.
Oh, my God.
That it's
Fair.
You came into
smile
this
on Gary's
you
face
came
is
into this
hysterical.
very clearly with a love of beer
It's
and brewing.
ridiculous.
It's like, we're going to start a brewery.
Oh, my
and it's
God.
like Matt Damon, we're going to start a zoo. And not realizing that all animals poop.
Oh, that's a
and
great metaphor.
They got to be fed and all this stuff. And
That's totally true.
But to be fair, you've also used the skills that you have. You have analyzed the shit out of this.
Yeah.
You've taken a highly analytical approach.
You have to have thick skin and be humble.
True.
And listen to people
No,
along the
you
way.
can't fudge reality.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But as the last time I was here, as I told you, Bobby, marketing, you suck.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
that is something.
It's so true.
Not an insult. It's a true statement.
And what I mean by that is,
Yeah.
your product is so good and the story behind it is so good that it doesn't match people's, because one of the things of doing this podcast, and I'm sure, Joel, you will agree, there's been many times where we're just looking at each other like, we didn't know that.
Oh,
Like
Wednesday night. This past
you're
Wednesday.
saying something about how you brew. It's like, we didn't know that. Like, we didn't know everything that goes into it. Like when the first time we talked about water,
Oh, yeah.
and you were like, oh yeah, I try to recreate the conditions in Prague or whatever for what it was like. You do?
Like that
We
should
didn't
be
know
on
that.
a banner outside. Like there should be a plane
I think
circling
it's true
the
with
building.
any discipline. I mean, go to any small business where there's actually a craftsperson behind it. I think that's the point about becoming a craftsperson on that one particular venture.
There's a fulcrum here, right? You can either talk so much about what you do until you talk all day about nothing, or the opposite. You invest in your story and in the bedrock and everything, and never
Although we
mention
have
it.
had people's eyes
So-
glaze over so
And
much
we're aware
when
of
we
that.
start talking
Yeah.
about the chemistry of the water and salts, for example. Salts are so fascinating.
And you know what? It almost doesn't matter. It's like when you go to a fancy restaurant, the host will come out and say, "Oh, what's your special tonight?" They don't say, "We got beef." No, they say like, "We have a fresh cut Angus steak that comes from this ranch in Montana, and we also have oysters that were freshly caught off the coast of Prince Edward Island." They just
And you don't mind
describe it.
paying $45.95 for 8 oysters.
Yeah, they just
Because of that?
explain what it is and the story behind it, and that is what gives it the value. You could buy that same steak at a butcher shop and make it yourself. But what you're getting is the presentation and the story and everything else that's behind it. And that's why they charge a premium. And that is why I think that you guys can create something that is a premium product by telling the story. And whether or not they even care about the chemistry and everything, it could be want chemistry. The fact is, it's like they know, oh, there's a lot that goes into this.
That's true. We have science the shit out of it.
So we've taken the conversation of how the global
tariffs killing us.
have done this and that on as far as impacting price, and then
And gotten
Gary's
to we suck
arguing
at marketing.
about how we can do better at validating that price by telling a story.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And the one of the things that I probably mentioned on this podcast a gazillion times, Bobby and I go out to a diner every Sunday morning. We take our kid, we go out, and we pretty
With
much
graphs.
we talk about the graphs. We talk about just this. I mean, every corner of this place has a thought behind it, and that thought space takes time.
The tank had 1 inch to spare standing up. I'm not kidding. 1 inch. And I said, Aaron, I hope I did my math.
He did check with me his math the other day on it.
I mean, it's
Measure
just,
twice, cut once.
I mean,
When it was fully standing, it was 1 inch? Or
no,
when
when you
tipping
break it
the
over, it's
diagonal?
called the breakover height. So that's basically, think of it as a hypotenuse.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like it's not a square, though. These tanks are not square. So you have to like really know your schematics to get that number. So we were within 1 inch. So yeah, she's right, though. That's where we are. Everything's within 1 inch metaphorically here.
Yeah.
But bringing this back to economics, not necessarily tariffs, but when you think about your journey, you've been dealt several significant obstacles that you've had to kind of cope with, whether it's COVID, whether it's recent tariff activity, economic turbulence, et cetera.
The craft beer bubble bursting.
Evolving.
Yeah,
I'm going with that
right?
these
So much
days.
better.
I think
Yeah,
some
touche.
of that has been a correction.
That's
Yeah.
true.
To be honest,
Because
because
so-
it comes back to your notion of, hey, I brewed a really good IPA
Yeah.
from a kid. I'm
This
a
is
brewer
cool.
now.
Yeah.
Like I've brewed a lot of beer, but to even talk with you about brewing is it's no.
Well,
I mean-
yeah, it's a business, like Allison said, and that's kind of the point of this episode. is-
Yeah. And business is
Yeah.
hard. And it's also about assembling the right team and going and finding the people who really know the particular question that you're trying to answer, have that depth to understand. And we've had some really good advisors along the way that have really helped kind of steer the boat in a much better direction.
And to go back to Gary's, what was it, perverse amusement?
Perverse joy.
Okay.
Yeah.
About us struggling as academics running a business. I think the thing that I always told Allison about what I took away from graduate school and being a researcher for NASA was perseverance. And I knew that.
You didn't work on Mars.
Did I
Sorry.
say more?
What?
Stop.
Sorry.
You-
That was a really bad.
Yeah, it was a nerdy
Perseverance
joke.
is the name of the Mars rover. We did Jupiter work.
Okay, so
And
anyway.
Saturn.
And so
We're the only two that are laughing.
yeah.
Everyone else is just looking at us.
Including the audience.
So you're always looking for opportunities and the spirit
there it is.
to play this game.
Thank you.
So, but I knew that I needed to prove it to myself, but also I knew that I needed to prove it to future investors because my plan was to open this brewery at some point.
Well, Christian Huygens once said,
Ride the wave, man. Ride the wave.
Dropping all of the references. Anyway, so
These are
this,
people.
no matter what we don't know, we know how to know. We know how to learn.
let me ask you this question. Coming from an academic background, and let me stereotype for a moment, especially as a tenured professor.
Yep.
There's a reason why academics want tenure. It's safety, right?
Job
you kind of,
security,
yeah.
yeah.
What
you don't have to-
what is the phrase?
Oh, you're either hired for life or you're fired.
Yeah.
there's a
That's
lot
the
of truth
fork.
in that.
It's a fork in the road.
Has this changed you,
Tenure or the brewery?
the brewery?
Breweries made me, yes, so much so. I would consider myself not as academic as some of my colleagues because I think there's a reality of when you study something. So I study physical chemistry, the physics of chemistry. It hadn't changed. It's not going to change much over the next century. And so I get really good at diving really, really deep and becoming one of a few people in the whole world that knows about this one little thing. So there's not really much room for adaptation and change, and you get set in your ways. Whereas the brewery has made me, as Joel pointed out, COVID hit right when we started to open. We were naive as all hell. That had to change. And then again, the economic landscape is shifting so rapidly in the span of us buying a tank to receiving the tank. Everything's changing. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. And so I think my adaptability is unique I'm a small group of faculty who have this experience who, because we don't have a textbook, whereas most faculty do. And textbooks are, takes a long time to change those.
No, that's a great answer. I was
13.
kind of fascinated because all the academic, and I know a lot of academics because when I was on the debate team at Calster, I'm the only person who never got a JD or a PhD. The only one. And I've made more money than everyone else, but
Yeah, that's par for the course. Yeah. That's how that works.
But I think it does change your outlook because it's like you said, you either are hired or you're fired. In this, you either, if you're not surviving, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You it's like a shark. You have to be moving constantly.
Right.
And you also have to be growing. You were talking about you have obligations to meet, people that are ordering beers, and you have to meet those. And if they don't, they're going to go somewhere else. And there's just the harsh reality of this that you have to kind of deal with, that not everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Not even academia, just people who, the pressures of being an entrepreneur, I don't think
Right.
a lot of people get.
Right. Well, and I think this is one of the things that COVID actually helped shed a lot of light on about people's capability and adaptability, like how much we actually can change when forced to. It was a year and a half, COVID hit, and we were like, okay, I guess we're doing distribution overnight. And so I remember Bobby took a picture of the top of a blank notebook paper, and it said Business Plan 2.0. And so he rewrote the business plan, and we re-strategized. And in higher education right now, we're having to, people are finding they're going more into the trades. They were finding lower number of students. And so we have to adapt. And the brewery is actually, it's cyclic. It's informed me on things we're capable of doing when looking at the numbers, looking at the data, talking to people. Talking to people is very helpful. And just kind of giving it your best shot and then adapting. Did it work? Did it not? Okay, cool. Pivot. And I think that that's one of the things that, it's become a skill that I have in being able to pivot in the face of Lord only knows what fire we're going to have to put out tomorrow.
And I think this is the benefit of the strong community that you've built.
Oh, absolutely.
You can rely on so many different people to do everything from help you with the artwork on a can,
Yep.
the logistics of overseas shipping, to developing a business plan. I know there's business owners in the area that have been a source of strength for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, even,
Just community, like just patrons who have
Right.
volunteered information, or they just give us a perspective. And they're like, hey, you really should think about this. Like, there's this one guy randomly about 2 years ago who was standing at the front bar and said, you should put a staircase right there, and it would really open up your prohibition room. And we were like, Gary, fine.
Pure genius.
I know. But good ideas are where you find them. And the stronger that community is, the more the good ideas come out.
I mean, where would you be without your tanks, without Glenn and Greg from FedEx?
Oh, yeah.
Who were here.
Well-
and they fell in head over heels in love with your beer.
Well,
I mean, it's remarkable.
That's always humbling, but yeah, the help that we get, it's so much bigger than one person. It's 10 people at this point.
Yeah.
All these skills.
And I
that are
think that's the
required.
other thing about this place is that every corner, like I said before, there's thought behind it, but there's also a story, and there's most likely a person or people. Like we're in the Prohibition room now. We have 2 or 3 kind of old school looking wingback chairs that you can come and perch on. And I remember Layla and I went and got that one. And then that one I found at a thrift shop, and I was trying to figure out how to get it, and we put it in someone's car. I mean, there's people behind these stories as well.
And back, one more thing about Gary's amusement with us being in this field when we came from another. I also started in farming and building homes before I got into
Thank
academia.
goodness you know how to weld. Oh my God.
And I think my walk, people wonder how did I get here? I think I'm always trying to learn how the world works, and I think that it makes me better at everything I do. That's sort of me in summary.
I am so glad that you guys do what you do, because I would never want to do what you do. I remember, I was here a week or so ago, and someone was getting a crowler, One of the big cans, right?
Oh, that I went. Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a bunch for him. Yeah.
And you had this big roll of tape with the labels you put on.
Yeah.
And all I thought of was like, you had to order that.
Yeah.
And there's just a ton of these little things.
Design it, make sure
That
it's
you had
right,
to
make
order.
sure the
I'm
copy's
like-
right. Oh,
I haven't even gotten T-shirts made for my podcast yet.
more than that, you have to the TTB, the governess, I guess, of all the things that we put on labels. You have to get we don't go out of state, so you don't have to get the labels approved. But you have all of these things. And remember when we made the Tornado cans?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We used the label from 547, and we forgot to change the ABV
Yep.
number. So the little Tornado was mislabeled as
So here
having
we had
a much higher
$300
ABV.
worth of Tornado
Oh my,
labels.
so that we can't actually sell in distribution, but
Yeah.
we could sell them as long as we had this really big ass sticker that says 6.7%.
It's death by a million cuts.
'Cause
There's
really?
always something.
It was
Because that
everything
percent
went-
costs $300.
Right, except we forgot that someone somewhere didn't proof the copy.
Yep.
And so now we have to figure out how do we solve that problem. And we're like, all right, well, that's the fire we put out today.
And that's what makes the small brewers more nimble than the big ones because they would just burn it and eat it as
Yeah.
a loss.
Which
but,
is when you
But we
discover-
know how to roll.
It was
with
a game
change.
changer when he figured out there's a company that you can just buy stickers and then go to their website and the stickers are already like put into the template. You just type it in and then it just prints it out automatically. This was a game changer. And sticker game changer for a company, that's ridiculous. We should be brewing beer and recipes and stuff. But stickers are what really make this easy.
But we live in a Sam Adams commercial. All this is not true. We're always standing on the brew deck, throwing hops in. There's polka music.
Yeah.
That's what it is to own a brewery.
So is Ryan Heiskabrot.
Yeah, Ryan Heitzke brought 7 days a
Speaking
week.
of Reinheitsgebrat, brat, you can get brats at our Lagerfest coming up October 4th. Hey.
That may come a
Okay,
different date.
who's cooking the brats?
Oh, crap, I forgot. This
Oh,
is
yes.
a fundraiser for the Boy Scouts of America.
Will this air? This is going to air before?
I don't know.
can-
If
I
not,
don't
next
I know
year.
the producer.
Oh, yeah.
First Saturday in October.
Well, it's always the first
Can
Saturday of
you
October.
get
whenever
some
this
hot
airs.
wort that you can put them in so
Oh, yeah.
everybody can see it?
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, marketing. Gary, can we hire you as our marketing director?
How about a ticket to Lagerfest?
There you go.
Oh,
Done.
yeah.
Sale.
Oh my God.
Boom.
No,
Easy.
but that would be just it would add to the ambiance.
Yeah.
And it would be a great sales
And if you
thing
don't know what
for the-
Reinheitsgebrat is, go back and listen to whatever episode that was.
Episode 2 of the Ryan Heitzgebot series, which is it on the Mount Rushmore of this podcast?
Is that the one with the
series.
cat?
The cat was in that episode as well.
Yeah, that was an episode that was scripted and we didn't follow it, and what came out was even better.
Yeah, that one was so much fun to make. We had Christoph on in that, and he read from the Ryan Heitzgebot in German, which was a treat, and then it just went off the rails. Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering, does Gary always have this many ideas? The answer is yes.
He does.
Wednesday night, he stands next to me from 6 to 10, and he has 4 hours of ideas.
And I
I mean that as a compliment. I really do. I've never met anyone who has as many ideas as you do. And I think I have a few ideas, but it's not even close. So way to go.
My idea for the shower umbrella. It's an umbrella that rains underneath it, and you can take a shower at the same time. It'll be a huge seller.
There you go.
there's
Ta-da.
one.
Well, for those of you still listening, if you've made it this far, I am guessing that our producer David has probably cut out a lot of very interesting stuff that is going to be on the Patreon page. So this is going to be one you're definitely going to want to check out. And with that, that is going to conclude this episode of Respecting the Beer. The producer of Respecting the Beer is the aforementioned David Kelso. Without David, there would be no show. Please join the Facebook group to get updates and to support the show over on Patreon, where you can get all the juicy tidbits that were cut out. And you can even get access to specially brewed beers that are available only to Patreon members. Links to both of these are in the show notes. And until next time, please remember to respect the beer.